Feeling overwhelmed by climate change? Looking for sustainable and ethical brands to support? Then Ethic is perfect for you. Ethic is a simple browser extension that helps you find sustainable and ethical brands online. Learn more at ethyk.org, ethyk.org.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, and welcome back to Realistic Sustainability Book Reviews. Yep, I'm just going to start calling them what they are. I kept trying to say educational shorts, and then I tried to add book review or product review. Here's the deal. I'm just going to say what it is. I'm not going to make it more complicated than it needs to be. This one, book review. This one's Walkable Streets by Jeff Speck. Now, I'll tell you, this is not a book that people generally think is a sustainability book, but it is. It honestly is. It doesn't get sold in sustainability sections. It doesn't get sold right next to gardening and other books, but it is important when you talk about structuring cities. This book is about the built environment and how we use it. It doesn't sit next to recycling and upcycling books. It just is an important thing for sustainability. You get someone like myself who likes sustainability as a whole subject and looks at more than one area. This one, it kind of helped me out. I didn't think about transportation all that much other than combustion, other than internal combustion vehicles, and how that would be different with EVs or other modes. What this did, this started teaching me about city-centric design. You've heard me say it in the past. About 100 years now, cities have been designed for cars. Bottom line, it's all based on that one mode of transportation. Sometimes we have to overlay and find a way to add mass transit. But the city, it was designed for cars. Should it be? No. There's a ton of ways people can move. They don't always have to move in that one mode of transportation. I learned that as being on part of the non-motorized transit board here in Durand. Between that, this book, and a few classes at U of M, kind of opened my eyes to, you want to end traffic? Give people lots of ways to travel. Jeff Speck does an amazing job explaining how to design a city so that citizens can get from place to place and not always have to have a car, creating both mobility and accessibility for the citizens in that city. Some may walk. Some may ride a bike. There's scooters. They may rollerblade. They could take the bus. There are countless ways for people to move from place to place. That doesn't mean massive congestion, even if there's lots of people there. And that's what I liked about this book. It talked about how to build safe routes. What are the psychological needs that people have to be able to feel safe utilizing other modes of transportation? It also taught me what happens when people aren't driving. What happens when the community is sitting side by side, standing side by side, talking to each other? Because in a car, it's very, very difficult unless you call someone to have a chat. People get in their car, they drive to their place, they get their thing, they may have some small conversation at the destination, but then they get back in that car and they go somewhere else. They don't stop at multiple shops. They don't stop and chat with people on the street unless they happen to see them in that brief moment of getting out of the car, getting what they need, and getting back in the car. What Jeff Speck shows is that community is built through multiple modes of transportation. People get more exposure to each other. They spend more time around each other, which builds that community. That was one of the common threads that I stole from this book in building the Edible Landscape Project. Jeff and I talked about it all the time, building the community through having them side by side. The more people who walk, the more people stop and chat. The more that they see each other, they wave. They build this connected feeling. And this is where I got it. I think Jeff already knew, but this is where I got it. All of these things that Jeff Speck talks about, they all reduce emissions. They all create a healthier living lifestyle and a better place to live. It's calmer. It's more relaxed. When you build the environment for how people feel or want to feel, instead of just how will a car get through, you build almost a park-like atmosphere in your living space. And that is pretty dang cool. That's why I take this book not for a top-level urban planning book, but I take it and look at it from sustainability side, where it kind of should be. So if you're interested in sustainability like I am, where it's not about one topic, but it's about the whole broad spectrum, you're looking at the concepts of sustainability and using that mindset to extrapolate over several things, this is a pretty cool way to get a better understanding about city design. It gives you a whole new outlook about how cities should be built, but haven't been up to this point. How citizen-centric design creates a more sustainable city. And not only that, it creates a sustainable transportation standpoint to give you a much better idea on how moving from place to place and accessibility should work. So if you're asking me, absolutely, I recommend this book. It's written for anybody. It's not highly technical. It just talks about the concepts. It tells a story about how they learned about these concepts. It gives examples and studies that aren't complicated, but to someone simple like me, a little mind-blowing at times. So I really did enjoy this book, and I do recommend it. If you get an opportunity, this is one to get. And remember, you can read more about it on greenyourlife.org/product reviews. You can click on there, scroll to the bottom, and a lot of the books are down there. If you click on it, it'll take you to Amazon. You can read all about it. You don't actually have to buy it from there if you don't want to. I understand a lot of people love local bookstores. Do it. Local bookstore. If you decide to buy it from Amazon, use that link. Realistic Sustainability gets about a 4% kickback for it, but you don't necessarily have to. It's just another way to support us. Also, before we end, I want to remind everybody, we do have the Patreon up. That is going to allow people for as little as $1 to start having a voice in what we talk about on this show. Polls will start pretty soon on a handful of topics. It will be the voters who tell us which show should be next. And I'm pretty excited about that. I'll just write a bunch, post them, and you'll pick them. So thank you so much for listening. That's all I had for this week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you've already read this book, tell us about it. Put it down in the comments. It's a good book. If you haven't, maybe you give it a try. Thank you so much again for listening. Remember, we only get together each week to get a little bit better. Little bit, big bit. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.